What's up, guys? I'm Sam,
My name's Ethan.
and this is the Encounter Podcast. This is our first video. We're gonna talk about our testimonies, give a little bit of that, give a little bit about why we're doing this podcast, what we hope for it. So, yeah. So you want to start, Ethan?
Yeah, so I know we gave a little blip about this in our little intro video that we kind of shot for YouTube, but we're just going to talk a little bit about the Encounter Podcast, how it came about, the purpose about it, the goal, and so I guess we'll start with the name. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So-
a great place.
The Encounter Podcast, so the name came about, we were actually joking around and trying to come up with a name to rebrand our young adults with.
Not that our young adults' name isn't great.
Not that the name isn't great, but we were just thinking about, other names just for funsies, just messing around at work. But we were thinking about a lot of different names like Ignite, all this stuff. Catalyst actually was one of them we were thinking about.
Ignite, shout out SEU Street Evangelism Club. Love you.
But we came up with Encounter because one of our goals for our ministry of young adults at Topeka Baptist is we want to create a place where people can encounter the Lord. So specifically, we do that us through worship. We both lead on the worship team. So we want to create a place where the people can encounter the Lord and just have a genuine moment with Him and be led by the worship team and just the people that are a part of young adults to have a genuine encounter with the Lord. So that's kind of what sparked our thoughts on this podcast, and then we kind of just ran with it, mess around with it a little bit as a joke. And then we got a little more serious, thinking, maybe we could actually make this a real thing, a place that we can encourage people, a place that we can.
We tried our hand at podcasting before, so
Yeah.
we had a lot of this stuff, and it wasn't horrible. It was super fun for us,
Yeah,
but it was also just a bunch of inside jokes,
Yeah.
and so not the greatest for everyone else, and then also it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So
we wanted to focus on something more fruitful in our lives and in other people's lives, a place where we can answer questions you guys have about living the Christian life, a place where we can share stories and testimonies of how the Lord has worked in our life, and a place where we can share the gospel at its most simplest form, and also dig deep on tough topics that are relevant in today's culture. So that's kind of where the name came from, and then kind of our goal behind the Encounter Podcast.
yeah.
So we hope that it's an encouragement to you, and we'd love to hear you guys' questions, comments, things we can do better, things we did well. So
Definitely questions.
definitely questions. Yeah.
Because, I don't know, we definitely have questions about, living the Christian life, and we know a ton of people do. And so we want to kind of answer those based off of biblical knowledge, but then also, tasting and seeing the goodness of the Lord in our own lives. So it's I know, people can say this, and you can hear this from the Bible, but we want to show you, from our personal testimonies, that the Lord is good and He does do this stuff,
Yeah.
So that's also kind of for us to just kind of reflecting on the Lord's goodness, meditating on it through a podcast. Who knew? But
Crazy.
yeah. So, our idea for this episode was kind of just to get into our, not too deep, but, into our testimonies. So, yeah, we'll do that. You've been talking, so you got it.
Okay,
Go
I guess.
first. Come
I
on.
guess I'll start. So I was raised, going to church with my family ever since I can remember. Just grew up in a Christian household, went to a private Christian school. Great place. Learned a lot there. And that really pushed me to grow deeper in my faith. But before that, I remember having a conversation with the pastor at the church that I went to, probably when I was around 5 or 6 years old. So whether or not that's the moment I got saved or not, I'm not entirely sure. But I have a memory of a moment at a Gideon convention, which I don't know if you guys know what the Gideons are, but I have this memory at a Gideon convention where, the Spirit was really working and convicting me in my life of things I was struggling with disobedience, with pride, with lust, just a lot of different things. And the pastor for my age group kind of asked if anybody wanted to get saved or rededicate their lives. And so I had the thought, I'm already saved, when I was little. you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, whether or not that's when I got saved or not, whatever. But I remember him taking me out into the hallway, and then we had a conversation just about, what it really means to be saved, what it looks like to be convicted and led by the Spirit. So that was kind of the moment that I was like, all right, man, like, we're going to start taking this thing a little more serious. That was probably when I was in middle school sometime.
Come on.
I think that was my 7th or 8th grade year. And then growing up at Care Paravel, at a private Christian school, they taught us a lot of things about the Bible, a lot of knowledge, a lot of influence by teachers. One of my favorite teachers who really pushed me, who was also my football coach, he would talk about how, living the Christian life isn't about behavior modification. It's not about going to church on Sunday. It's not about just reading your Bible to check it off. It's not about praying in front of your friends whenever you're about to eat. It's not about, just being nice to people. But he really challenged us with the Christian life is about a heart change. It's about having a heart that's truly pursuing the Lord, having a heart that is seeking intimacy and seeking a relationship with the Lord, not just one that's looking to look good or to check boxes, but it's not about behavior modification, but about a heart change. That kind of describes the process of sanctification as a whole,
Yeah.
right? Like growing in your walk with the Lord. So, yeah, now we're in college. We're both involved in our young adults ministry, in worship and just in general with the ministry. So ministry is something that's huge on our hearts. I don't exactly know where for me yet specifically, but
He says for me like it's any different in my life, but
I know I'm called to be faithful to the Lord and obedient to Him. My life verse right now is Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Obviously, there's a lot of growing to be had in my life, but excited for where the Lord has me, where He has us in this podcast and in the different ministries we're involved in. And just excited to see where He takes us in the future. So
there we go.
I'm also 21 and in nursing school. So hopefully graduate in May, if you guys wanted to know.
Come on.
So that's a little bit about me. It's a little bit of about my testimony. So, yeah.
There we go. My testimony, a little bit about me. I'm also 21, also in nursing school. That's it. That's all. A college student. My testimony is very similar in the aspect of me always growing up in a Christian house. My dad was a pastor for the first 14 years of my life, so just kind of grew up around it, knowing all the Bible stories, all that, and that kind of but it kind of created like a lot of pride in me, and like bad pride in me, like false pride, because it's like I have nothing of my own. So in like middle school, I just remember that like everyone knew me as the perfect, like, good Christian kid, and I had friends who were not like Christians or like didn't even desire it, and they were kind of like against it, and I was like, oh man, I never know, like, I don't know why, but looking back, I was totally part of the problem. And like I wish I could go back and apologize to those people, because quite honestly, because like I was no different. I just knew how to hide my sin, and I didn't have it out there for everyone to see. So if you were my friend and you were hurt by me, I'm actually sorry for that. But yeah, the Lord's gracious regardless of it, and He's worked a lot in the past couple of years to just break down that pride and show me that I really am nothing without Him, and I have to daily depend on His goodness. So He just started doing that a lot for me in high school and out of high school. That's where like it transitioned from Jesus being part of my life to Jesus being the reason I'm here and like my existence. And so I actually started reading the Bible every day, and it's not like I was just doing it to like look good or because I knew it's something I wanted to do, but the Lord actually grew that love like inside of me, and it's like I want to do this because I want to know Jesus. And yeah, so he's cool in that. And so going out of high school, there was just this, like, I can speak well. I would say, like, publicly can speak well. And so I would always also love to, like, share what the Lord's doing, what the Lord's teaching me, you know? So, like, there were opportunities I got at the night, like, camp night, coming home from summer camp, where I got to speak and like, tell the testimony of what the Lord was doing at camp. And I just remember, like, people coming up to me and they're like, if you don't use this, like, then you're wasting what God's given you. And so that, and then a lot of, like, the people above me who, like, have kind of mentored me in the Lord, kind of, like, telling me, like, hey, like, I see this in you, like, this love for ministry. And so it added a lot of, like, stress.
Yeah, I can imagine,
honestly,
bro.
so much stress, because it's like, I know people are telling me that, but that's not what I feel. It's not what I think, you know? So over the past couple of years with college, I've been in and out of nursing. Actually went down to school in Florida at a little school called SCU. Love that place. Love everyone there. For ministry. And I loved it. I love everything I learned down there, but I ended up coming back here for nursing. And I think that through a lot of that, the Lord's kind of shown me, like, you have the call to share the gospel, right? Because that's the call of every Christian.
Yeah.
Whether you're devoted to full-time ministry or not, it is your call to share the gospel, to love the Lord, and to help others love the Lord, and to share his goodness. And I'm like, that's great. I love that. And and honestly, like, wherever I go, whatever I do, as long as that's my goal and that's the focus of my life, then the Lord's shown me, you're going to be okay. Just do it, and just do it for my glory, and you're good. And so I have so much peace now. It's not wrestling. It's like, oh, what does the Lord want me to do? If I don't do one thing, then I'm going to just completely never be used by him again. No, that's not the case. He's been very gracious. So now I'm just doing nursing school and trying to kind of view everything as an opportunity to share the gospel. So whether that's in school with my classmates or at the hospital or just at Casey's. Love that place too. So yeah, that's my testimony. A lot of me being messed up and the Lord being gracious. So yeah.
For us all, right, man?
Come on. Yeah. What else? Do we have anything else we want to cover?
I think that's about it.
Man, I was a lot of, like, this episode was a lot more just like individual yapping and not as much conversation. But, like, when we get into the next episodes, like, and with our testimonies, it's tough because we don't want to dive too deep into one topic, because we want to have different episodes for so many different things the Lord's showing us, right?
Yeah.
And there we're going to, like, obviously talk more and have more conversation, but this was just, this was just story time. So
I'll tell you right now, though, we are certified yappers. So we can talk. We talk a lot sometimes. We might have to
set a timer.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to
try
to keep it below.
So.
But thanks for tuning in, guys. We're super excited for the future of this podcast and just to see how the Lord works through us, how the Lord works in your life, and just excited to see where the Lord takes this podcast. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Excited to put this episode out. Let us know what you guys think. Give us some questions. And, we'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.